Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. It was good for your fathers. It was good for your fathers. It was good for your fathers. It's good enough for... Well, I'll be. Son! Son! Come here! I've got something I want to show you.
What is it, Pa? I need to finish this road.
Take a break and come here. I want to show you the promised land.
Where?
Well, don't you see it, son?
I see trees and some rocks.
No, son. Look down into the valley. You see that town sprouting up down there?
You mean the place where the railroad tracks and a few houses come together? You call that a town?
Son, look again. Tell me, what else do you see?
Well, if I squint real hard, I can see the start of some sort of building project on the other side of the tracks. Is that what I'm supposed to be looking at?
That's right, son. That's the promised land.
The promised land? You mean like in the Bible? Sorry, I don't see no milk and honey flowing down there.
Son, you mark my word. There might not be any milk or honey down there now, but that little town down there, that's going to be where the sugar's spilled. Well, that's the Magic City, boy.
How'd we go from the promised land to the Magic City? Meaning no disrespect, Pa. I guess I'll have to take your word for it.
Son, you're going to want to live there someday. You just wait and see.
Well, if you say so. Now, can I get back to work?
What's your hurry?
I need to work up a little magic of my own, or we won't get finished till dark. Abracadabra. That ought to do it.
What?
No instant bumper crop. Pa, it might take some muscle, not magic, to make this peach crop. You go on and admire your Magic City. Don't mind me. I'll just be over here making some magic of my own with my hoe.
Boy, I've got vision where the rest of the world wears bifocals. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me.
me to introduce myself. I'm Fuller E. Calloway.
Money bags.
Well, perhaps now, but not back then. I'll have you know that I started out with 1 nickel in my pocket. And I earned that when I was 8 years old. I worked all day as a water boy at a barn raising over near LaGrange.
Young man, how can I help you?
I'm still looking, sir.
Well, we have lots of things here that a young boy like you would like. Just take your time.
I have a nickel to spend.
A whole nickel. Well, with money like that, I'm sure. How about a bag of candy? That would just be the right thing for you when I could fill you this whole bag full of candy and liquid sticks. How does that sound?
No, sir. I want something to show for my money, not something that I can eat up in a few
Well,
minutes.
this wonderful ball for a nickel. That's a great ball, or this little train. What about that?
No, sir.
I'll be with you in just a few moments, ladies. You're quite a discerning customer, aren't you? Listen, young man, make up your mind what you would like to have.
How much is this spool of thread?
A spool of thread? Why would you want a spool of thread? That's something your mother would buy.
How much for the thread, sir?
Less than a nickel.
Really? How many spools will my nickel buy?
I can sell you 3 spools of thread for that nickel. Pick your colors out.
Well, then it's a deal, sir. Here.
All right.
Excuse me, ma'am.
What can I do for you?
No, ma'am. It's what I can do for you.
That's so.
Yes, ma'am. I can offer you the convenience of shopping at home. You live way out here in the country, and I know how hard it is to get to town. So your worries are over. I'm bringing the store to you. Would you like to buy a spool of thread?
Thread? Well, I can always use another spool of thread. I'll take this white one. It's all purpose. How much for it?
Only 5 cents.
Sure. Here's your money, and thanks for saving me a trip into town.
My pleasure, ma'am. Well, that was easy enough. I got my investment back on the first sale. My next sale will be pure profit.
So I turned my nickel into 15 cents. I tripled my profit on those 3 spools of thread, and I was on my way. I went from a peddler to a farmer to a store clerk to a store owner to a mill owner. And now, with the railroad coming through here, I'm ready to expand. This looks like a great place for another cotton mill.
Welcome to Manchester.
This place will be named and shaped after one of the great industrial centers of England. We have high hopes for this town. As a matter of fact, it is growing so fast that the folks around here call it the Magic City because it's springing up like magic.
Manchester?
Yes.
Well, shouldn't we call it Mudchester? Everywhere I step, there's another mud puddle.
Oh, that's a small price to pay for progress, my dear, and it is nothing that a few sidewalks in the Magic City won't fix. Until then, just step high.
Affectionately, we call her the Magic City because seemingly overnight, as if by magic, she appeared in the valley below. But in the year of our Lord, 1909, Manchester's future still lay before her, a blank canvas, yet to be painted. Truly, it was our good fortune that as early as 1912, Manchester already had her very own newspaper to record her history for us. They called it the Manchester Mercury. We call it the Manchester Star Mercury. All the news that's fit to print, offering us the world within its pages. Today's news, yesterday's news. Yesterday's news. Yesterday's news. You know? My father always said that yesterday's news makes a fine fish wrap. And you know, there are many things that this old newspaper can be used for other than its original intent. There's lining the bottom of a bird cage, training a naughty puppy, or maybe wrapping a gift on the cheek. But whatever the many, many uses for the old newspaper might be, one thing is for certain. Yesterday's news will become tomorrow's history. And today's news is, as they say, hot off the press. That's all the news that's fit to print, offering us the world within its pages. Extra, extra, read all about it. Read all about the tales of Magic City.
You know, the years 1910 to 1919 were boom years for us. My mills prospered and so did this town. As a matter of fact, people would come to me often and say, Mr. Calloway, what is the secret of your success and your prosperity? I would just simply say, well, you just need to find a good horse and ride him. Somehow, I had the ability to find good men and let them do their jobs.
I was made credit manager at Callaway's department store. And soon after that, one salesman came in and said, Mr. Resort wants to buy a bag of seed and charge it. I was acquainted with him and I thought he was a credit risk based upon his past payment history. So I doubted it. So I asked the salesman, wait a minute, while I spoke to Mr. Calloway about it. While I was talking to him, he said he listened quietly and smiled all the while, and then he inquired.
Let's see now, who is the credit manager at this store?
Then he went back to work, and I had to go and deny the man credit. Mr. Calloway allowed me to do the job I was hired for, and he did the same thing at the mills.
That sop going door to door to wake up the railroaders. He went to work for the railroad when he was just 17 years old. right after he finished high school.
Mr. Nash, you're called for 112 to Birmingham at 4 a.m. This is your official call, Mr. Nash.
Now, Sop didn't have a suit of clothes for his interview for his job. So his daddy told him to go see Mr. Jim Peters down at the bank. Sop did as he was told, and he borrowed $50. And with that money, he bought a suit of clothes and a pair of shoes, and he still had money left over. And yes, he got the job, a very important job. You see, back then in Manchester, they didn't have telephones. So wake-up calls had to be done in person. As you can see, Sop took his job seriously.
Mr. Raven, you're called for 112 to Birmingham at 4 a.m. Get up, Mr. Raven.
By the time Sop retired from the railroad, his title was yard master. And that's a long way from making wake-up calls.
I've been working on the railroad all the livelong day. I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away. Can't you hear the whistle blowing? Rise up so early in the morning. Shouting down low your home.
Now, Fred here made a career for the railroad, too. In his later years, he was chief cook and bottle washer when there was a train ready. He'd get the call to go, get all his groceries together, and head for the wreck site. He'd prepare 3 meals a day for the men working to clean up the wrecked train.
And he was a fine cook, too.
I've been working on the railroad all the livelong day. I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away. Can't you hear the whistle blowing? Rise up so early in the morn. Can't you hear the captain shouting? Down low your horn.
In the early 20s, a handsome young man came to Manchester looking for work. His name was Gary, and he was my dad. He was raised on a peach farm, and his first job ever was with the AB&A Railroad as a water boy. He worked diligently and got promoted all along until he became yard foreman. My mother and my aunt used to take me down to the railroad yard to watch Daddy switch trains. He rode that little red caboose many times, and I'd just wave when he'd ride by. He retired after 48 years. Yes, my daddy was a railroader through and through.
You know my daddy was a railroad man. Yeah, daddy was a railroad man, working night and day for very little pay. Yeah, my daddy was a railroad man. Now my daddy said to me, now son, get yourself an education, 'cause working on that rail, your body's gonna fail. Yeah, my daddy was a railroad man. I wish I'd listened to my daddy and gone to school. Oh, here I am, still working on the railroad. Oh.
I've been working on the railroad all the livelong day. I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away. Can't
here to join us with a very special thing. Lauren, can you tell me what this is? A $1 bill, is that right? Tell me, Lauren, is this a lot of money? It is. It is a lot of money. Well, you know, there are those who would say, not so much, not anymore. But I would tell you that in 1930, a dollar bill was a whole lot of money. In fact, I can remember my grandmother telling me how she carried her money. She said she carried her change in a little purse. She called that her pin money. But she carried her paper money, like a dollar bill. She carried that in her shoe. She would fold it up. She called it her folded money. She said it was worth a lot. And she wanted to hide it someplace where it would be real safe. In fact, my grandmother told me that back in 1930, a dollar bill would be, shucks, it would be like $100 today. I know. Now, travel with me back in time, if you would. Back in time to 1930, when a dollar bill, just a dollar bill, was still a whole lot of money. Mom, being such a good sport, I'm going to let you keep this dollar, play with it yourself. Thank you.
Hopping a freight ain't the easiest way to travel, but it gets you where you want to go. Those lucky enough to work for the railroad had steady jobs during the Great Depression. Some people even had enough money to buy tickets to ride on the train. But some folks like me had to travel free.
Hey, you there! What are you doing here? You ever been to Manchester before, boy?
No, sir, this is my first time.
Taking up the hobo life, is that it?
No, sir. I hopped a freight back in Birmingham, hoping to find work. Not much back home. I thought that might things be better over this way.
Son, look around you. We're all looking for a job. Manchester is a good town. Folks are always willing to give us a handout, but there ain't no work here. Bill's laying off and ain't hiring.
Hey, you better go on back down to the railroad tracks and just keep on moving on. I tell you, we have kind of understanding around here amongst us folks that you got to have the right thing to do to go through to get work in Manchester. Now look, there's things you have to do and you have to abide by those rules. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
Well, you could go check with that fella in the tent over there. He might have a job for you.
But what about the rules?
Well, son, imply those rules don't apply to this situation. They don't apply none at all. Now, if you can get some work from that gentleman over there, you go right ahead. We ain't gonna mind at all. He's all yours.
Why? What's wrong with him?
Well, ain't nothing wrong if a little TB ain't wrong.
TB.
Yeah, that's what they say. Why do you think somebody's living out here in these cold springs?
Yeah.
Because the town done told him he had to be quarantined. Folks are scared to have anything to do with it. You know, I don't know how he's alive or even if he is alive.
Well, doctor's been down here in his buggy a few times, but nobody else. Now, I reckon the good doctor probably brought some food down here for him along with his medicine.
Of course, he can't last too much longer in this cold.
Where you going?
Well, I'm going to go check on him.
Son, we wasn't kidding. That man's got TB.
Yeah.
You better stay away from him like we do. He ain't got no money and no job for you.
Listen, my mama has taught me to do the right thing. I have to go see about him. Mister, are you in there?
What do you want?
Well, I just came by to see if you needed anything, mister.
Did those hobos send you over here to play a joke on you, son?
Well, they suggested I come.
You better keep your distance. I've got TB.
Yes, sir, I know.
And you came anyway?
I've seen folks with TB before. It's okay.
No, it's not okay. But it's kind of strange. The people have been so kind to me, even though the city council made me stay out here. They bring me food, leave it at a distance, and Doc checks on me right regularly. And now you come out here for no reason except to check on me. Makes me wish I didn't have to die.
Now, you don't have to die, mister. Not today, anyway. And maybe not even tomorrow.
Oh, is that your prognosis, son? You give me 2 days? That might be a little overly generous. So what brings you to the fair city of Manchester? Seeking your fortune?
No, sir. No work at home. I just needed to move around a bit.
You must think you can move better without any weight. You're as thin as I am.
I've just been on the road a while. Regular meals are hard to come by.
I can see you're cold and hungry, son. Open up that trunk over there. You're welcome to anything in there. There's a few canned goods and a little fresh fruit. I've got another blanket in there too. Get it out and wrap it around you. You're shivering like a leaf on a tree.
But
One last thing, son. Look down in the bottom. There should be an envelope down there. It's yours too.
Now, I can't take your stuff.
Trust me, son, I won't be needing it where I'm going. Can't do me any good. But it'll help you get back home to your mama. She's probably worried sick about you, son.
Well, thank you, mister. I can't ever repay you.
You already have, boy. Just by being out here and the goodness of your heart. You weren't afraid to be around me, and I feel like a human being again, not an outcast. Now, go!
Hey, what you got there?
It's a $10 bill. I can't believe it. I've never had a $10 bill before.
Did I hear you say $10?
Well, yes.
Hey, that's a fortune. Where'd you get it? Did you steal it?
No, the man in the tent gave it to me, and this blanket and food.
No. Well, it must be some more where that come from. I tell you what, it's about time me and you got to know Mr. TB. And let's just see what we can get done. I tell you what, you go on over there and talk to him. I'll kind of stand here and watch.
All right.
Well, is he all right?
Hey, you.
Oh, my goodness.
What's wrong?
He's gone.
Gone? He couldn't have gone anywhere. He could barely sit up.
No, I mean gone as in gone on to a better place. He's dead.
Dead?
Well, I tell you what, he's just gone on to his great reward. And I tell you what, I am sure that he would want you to share your reward with us. Now, listen, $10 is a lot of money. Now, why don't you just share that fortune with us? Yeah.
Hey, come back here! Come back here! What?
I didn't live to see the Great Depression, but I could tell that hard times were coming. I could see trouble ahead. And by then, I had a fortune that I had made, and I was invested in stocks and bonds, stores, banks, and of course the cotton mills. So I called my sons together, and I said, son, hard times are coming. We cannot keep all these businesses. You've got to sell all of them but one, and maybe we can survive with that. So choose wisely. So they chose the cotton mills. They survived and kept on making money.
My grandfather's real name was Wisdom Lewis Taylor, but everyone called him Cash. Cash was among one of the first settlers here in Manchester and was mayor about 1918. He owned a grocery store on Main Street, and that's how he made his living. During the Depression, no one had any money, but he couldn't let them go hungry. So his name became quite a bit of a joke because his business was credit, not cash only. My grandmother, Ada Lee Taylor, made quite a name for herself. She was the first woman to drive a car in Manchester. And you know what they say about women drivers? Well, the irony of that story is that Cash was the one killed in the automobile accident, not Ada Lee. My mother, Ruby, was the youngest daughter of that Buchanan man who called Manchester the Promised Land. She and two of her brothers, Uncle Marvin and Uncle Clarence, actually settled here. She married my father, Dawson Lee Taylor, who became the town vet. And that's how she made it to the Promised Land. You see Leonard over here? He is my third cousin, once removed, the son of great uncle. Oh, you don't care how my family's related to his. The main thing is that Leonard made it to the Promised Land when he married his beautiful wife, Louise. They owned this service station and worked it together. Let's listen in.
Patsy, what's he looking so down about?
Got a feeling 'cause I'm blue. Oh Lord, since my daddy said goodbye, I don't know what I'm gonna do. All I do is sit and cry. Oh Lord, that last long day he said goodbye. Oh Lord, I thought I would die. Hallelujah, he's got that kind of loving. Oh Lord, I love to hear him when he calls me sweet baby. What a beautiful dream. I had to think it all over. I lost my heart, it seems. I have grown so used to that man somehow that I'm nobody's sugar baby now. 'Cause I'm lonesome. I got the lovesick blues.
Yes, it was a secret marriage.
Yes, it had to be true love. I borrowed my cousin's Model T Ford. Didn't have a car of my own. We drove all the way to Sill, Alabama to get married.
We exchanged our vows on Christmas Day in 1930. It was so romantic.
Well, honey, I'm glad you thought so. I didn't see nothing romantic about taking a bride and then having to take her back home to her folks. No honeymoon if you get my meaning, gentlemen. It was definitely love.
But I would have lost my job as a teacher. Back then, you couldn't teach school and be married.
But I had to wait till June to claim my bride. That was a long 6 months.
He was very patient.
Only because I had to be.
Well, our marriage might have been slow at the start, but it lasted. We get along for the most part. He's a hard worker and a good man.
We opened this service station together.
Yes, I was probably the first female in Manchester to ever pump gas. Back then, there was no such thing as self-service. We owned a service station, not a filling station. Back then, gas cost 17 cents a gallon. One time, I had to raise the gas to 19 cents a gallon, and people just had a hissy fit.
I took care of the outside duties, and Louise handled the inside.
Yep. I was on the inside all right, and Leonard was on the outside, and every time he would leave this door wide open. I've asked him 100 times if he was born in a barn. I'd spend more time swatting at flies than I would helping customers. So I got a solution. Got my stick here. I can shut that door without even having to move back from behind my counter. Everybody in town knows about my stick. Not the out-of-town customers, though. But one day, he was waiting on an out-of-town customer, and he left this door open, and I had to yell, "Leonard! Are you gonna shut this door, or do you want me to get my stick?"
That's a mighty forceful woman you got behind the cash register, mister.
Leonard, did you hear me?
Yes, I heard you. Go ahead and get your stick.
I'm leaving before the ballot begins, and I'd advise you to run for your life.
No, wait, I can explain. She's my wife.
Wife? Well, that's even worse. You certainly have my sympathy. I heard of being henpecked, but this is ridiculous. I thought Manchester was a peaceful little town.
Leonard, where'd that customer go with such a hurry?
He thought you were going to use your stick on me and him.
Everybody in town knows I wouldn't hurt a fly.
You know, these fellows are prisoners of war. I need to explain to you why they're here in the United States. During the war years, cotton crop was coming in so good, but cotton had to be picked. And then it had to be sent to the mill before it could be used. And then the peaches, what we're doing now, had to be harvested. But we didn't have any labor. You have to remember that World War II, most of the young men over 18 years of age were either off to war somewhere or they were training to go to war. So it was a difficult time, and that's why an old fellow like me, over 65 years of age, is working with these prisoners of war. You see, the government recognized that we needed help. And so what they did was they passed the POW Labor Act in 1943. Now this allowed that any German soldier under the rank of sergeant would come to the United States for the purpose of harvesting the agricultural products. And so these men were sent over here. Now, this is a difficult time. My job is to take them from field to field while they pick peaches. But they, of course, they don't understand my language, and I don't understand German. But so we have some interesting conversations explaining very simple things. I might also say that POW Act, the farmers paid $1.50 a day per prisoner, and 80 cents of that went to the canteen rations for the prisoners. So as I said, we have some interesting things. That's a peach. In case you didn't know, a peach. Do they grow peaches in Germany? Over there? Well, I'm sure you don't understand what I'm saying, but peaches are very important to Georgia. We grow some of the finest peaches in the world. And I tell you, these are wonderful peaches. They are nice and juicy. They came from right here in Meriwether County. You bite into one of these things and they're just delicious. Just all you can expect. Go ahead and try one. Don't worry about the fuzz, they're good. Yeah, you like those? Well, I'll tell you, they are good. You have to be careful with them, though. Don't want to eat too many at one time. They kind of work like a laxative. Well, I don't want to explain to you what a laxative is, but if you eat too many of them, you may have to go to the bathroom. That's the whole thing about it. Go ahead, just be careful. Just be careful. Don't say I didn't tell you so. We'll go to the next crop here. Get the next one.
All right. Come on, everybody. Come on. Try to have some happy faces. Come on. All right. It's not so bad. You two, you got to go. Come on. Line up now. Come on.
At the city drugstore, the druggist will fix up a dose of castor oil. He stirs it real good with coke syrup and something so it doesn't taste so bad. I get my dose of castor oil, then he orders us to drink it real fast so the oil and the concoction is still mixed.
Drink up. Drink up.
The druggist has his work to do, and I have mine. I'm the soda jerk, the master creator of banana splits and Coke floats. Oh, I've had other jobs too, like working at my family's dry cleaners and down at the mill where I help cash payroll checks. By the way, the average paycheck there is $6.60. Good wages. My favorite job, though, is right here at the city drugstore, because this is where the action is. I get to see all the locals and even some unusual visitors. I'm also the curboy. Right out there now is my most famous customer. It's President Franklin Delano Roosevelt himself. When he's staying over in Warm Springs, he comes to Manchester and rides down Main Street, holding his long cigarette holder in his left hand and waving at everybody with his right hand. Then he stops in front of the drugstore for his cherry Coke. I get to take it out to him, and he always takes time to have a conversation with me. He makes me and everybody else feel real special. Now, if you'll excuse me, I can't keep the president waiting. I'll be right out, Mr. President.
Parents like my mom bring us in for a doze when she thinks we need a good cleaning out. We usually go down to the drugstore on Saturday afternoon. I'll get my dose of castor oil, then I'll go to my aunt and uncle's house on Lee Street. I'll stay with them until my dad gets home from work. You can't fool around with castor oil, so I take off walking because I want to reach their house before the oil takes effect. Walking sometimes just doesn't do it. Aunt Ruby, open the door because Mr. Castor is on the move. Let me in, cousin.
Hold your horses, I'll be out in a minute.
Let me in, please.
Hold your horses, I'll be out in a minute.
Hello, please come in and have a seat. The doctor will be with you in just a few minutes. Who's sick? What seems to be the problem?
She's got a high fever. She needs to see the doctor.
Well, she certainly is warm. Let's go back and see the doctor. If you'll just come this way, I'll be with you in just a moment. I'm so glad. Ladies, you are in the doctor's office. You will be quiet. Let's go back and take her temperature. I'm sure your child will feel better in just a few days. You know, that penicillin is a miracle drug today. Let's get to your bill now. That's going to be $3 for the office visit and $7 for the shot of penicillin. That's going to be a total of $10, ma'am.
$10? I don't have any money. You'll just have to charge it.
I'm sorry. The doctor has a cash-only policy. It's written on that sign right on front of this table.
I don't see a sign. Where is it?
Well, it was there. Well, let's just get back to your bill. That's going to be $10.
But I told you, I have no cash today. My husband and the other men in our tribe are working around town painting. He should be paid in a few days, and I'll be right back with the doctor's money. You can trust me.
Well, all right. It seems I have no other choice. But just in case, could I have your address? I might need to remind you.
Mailing address? Gypsies have no permanent address. We're free spirits. We go where the wind blows us. We're people of opportunity. We live by our wits. Would you like to come out to our wagon and check our wares? We've got some great bargains on pots and pans. Or
You could visit our fortune teller to see into your future.
I'd better not leave this office unattended, but I appreciate you offering anyway. Let's see if your child would like to have a lollipop. Would you like a lollipop? Okay. Sure. I am so sorry to keep you waiting, Kate. The doctor will see you now. It's been quite an experience this morning.
Good. Wait just a minute. Where is my pocketbook? It was right here by my chair and now it's gone.
Well, I'm sure it's here somewhere. Let's just look for it.
My purse is nowhere to be found. Look, even the magazine I was reading is gone.
And all the other magazines? The clock? The ashtray? Why, even the rug is missing.
I believe your traveling patients took everything that wasn't nailed down.
No. Now I know where that sign went. What in the world will Dr. Jackson say? And how am I going to tell him that everything in this office is missing?
You tell Dr. Jackson that his office items